All right, welcome to Chapter 2 Study Guide for Trading in the Zone with Mark Douglas. The lure and dangers of trading. This has been a great book, okay? I said it in the last video, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again in case you didn't watch that one. I agreed with most of this book the first time, but I think I was so immature years and years ago that it didn't even make sense. Some of it, I'm like, what are you talking about? All this psychology stuff. Why? If you find the winning strategy, you win, and then your psychology's fixed because you win all the time. Okay. Nope. That's not how this game works. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. In chapter 2, Mark Douglas examines why trading is so alluring yet dangerous for the average person, and the promise of freedom, wealth, independence attracts many traders. Got my freedom hat on. But the same desire often leads to emotional and psychological traps. Okay, trading requires a mindset that most people do not naturally have. Okay, because it forces us to operate in an environment with no rules other than the ones we impose on ourselves. Okay, this is a huge statement. I want you guys just to take it in really quick. Most of us are here because we can find financial freedom in trading. Okay, but to find that freedom, you have to not have freedom, and you have to create rules that put you in a box and that you no longer have freedom to do what you want when you want how you want. It's weird. Okay, the same thing that attracts us is the same thing that, as we play out and live it out in our minds and in our behavior, it kills us. Okay, because any trader that is not disciplined and doesn't follow an edge and follow rules just gets obliterated, in my opinion. Maybe there's like a 0.00001% that does really well that way, but I I'm not part of that. Okay, so Douglas stresses that the very qualities that make trading attractive, no boss, no structure, unlimited opportunity, are what causes most traders to fail. Without discipline, structure, and emotional control, these freedoms turn into chaos. If anyone's traded for any point of time, you could share your chaos story down below in the comments. I have some chaos stories I could share for sure. You know, going from 400 to 6,500 to $40. All right. I even have some other ones, blowing combines, doing resets, and just, doesn't work out. Okay. But once I was able to find structure, find the rules, and yes, find a winning strategy. But I'm telling you, I know someone who trades EMAs does well. I know someone who does basic market patterns does well. I know someone who does market cipher who does well. I know someone who does ICT and liquidity and smart money concepts who does well. That's me. I trade a form of smart money concepts. It's great. Okay. Um, but that's not why they're successful. There are many strategies out there that will work. You need to find the one that works well with you, that resonates with you, and then you need to apply the things that are in this book and Jared Tendler's book and Tom Hogarth's book, and get your psychology under control, get your behavior under control. Yeah, mixed with a bunch of strategies that I could give you if you're confused and need one. Reach out to me. All right. So the key to this paradox is freedom versus discipline. Okay. Trading offers unlimited freedom when you can trade whatever you want, risk as much as you want, and there's no one there to stop you. Yet the freedom is dangerous because there is no built in checks and balances, and a trader must create their own rules and stick to them. Most new traders underestimate the need for self imposed discipline and structure. Okay. The lure of unlimited opportunity. Market presents an endless stream of opportunities, and this creates excitement but also leads to overtrading. Anyone ever felt that? The possibility of getting rich quickly tempts traders to take unnecessary risks. Without a plan, traders end up gambling rather than executing a strategy. There you go. Let's say if I was live trading, or if I had this was a live stream, I'd be like, drop me a one. If you're a gambler, drop me a one. All right. Emotional attachment to money. Money in trading is directly tied to self esteem, survival, and making it emotionally charged. Okay. For me, it is definitely, it's not supposed to be, but sometimes my P&L and all of that can like play into my ego, right? My self-esteem. And that makes it emotionally charged. That's why when I'm wrong, I used to freak out, you know, because I had to be right. So, when I first read this book, I didn't quite see all this. The second time I read it, I applied a lot more. The third time I'm going through it, now that I'm actually a profitable trader, I see it. I am like, dude, yeah. And I still have to fight some of this stuff. I really do. I think it's the only reason I stay profitable is because I'm willing to look myself in the mirror and be like, that was terrible. Why did you do that? And then, I go back and I look and I'm like, it was because I was wrong. And I put my um ego on this trade, and then it hit the stop loss and my ego was bruised. And now I needed to fix that, right? Instead of just taking that and be like, whatever. Probability. Lost that one. Who cares? That's the attitude you're supposed to have, right? But sometimes when we do the self-esteem and the survival, it makes this emotionally charged. It really does. Money's serious, guys. That's why a lot of people can pass prop firms, but then they can't get a payout. Okay, that's why some people, because they think if they can get their funded account, their first funded account, that they're good, that they'll have that funded account forever, and they'll just make money, and then they find out different, and that money's serious. So please, if you're a newer trader and some of this you're like, whatever, you can click off my video if you want, but go get the book and read through it, and then go trade for a little bit, and then come back and read over it again, and then you'll start to see some of these things. All right, so let's keep going. Winning and losing can feel like a personal validation or failure, leading to fear, greed, or revenge trading. For real, we talked about that in the last video. If you haven't watched it, go see it, please. Okay, I don't care about the 50 views I'm gonna get. If you click off this video, just buy this book. All right. Successful traders learn to see money as a tool or a scorecard and not as a reflection of their self-worth. Okay. So remember, your P&L does not it doesn't make you more valuable or less valuable. Okay. So stop attaching your ego and your self-worth and all of that to your scorecard, right? You can see it as like a scorecard as long as you're not attaching your ego and self-worth to it. I know I just kind of said that backwards and forwards, but I'm trying to explain how that works, and I think this is huge. So I think it's worth taking the time to say that you can't judge yourself as a trader by one trade or 1 week or even a month, really. You want to see how you do with a strategy over a long period of time, right? And when it is time to judge yourself, you judge yourself based on, did I follow my strategy rules? Yes, I did. Good job. Okay. No, that was a FOMO trade. I didn't really get my entry, but I wanted to enter even though it was bad P&L, whatever, right? All that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, so that was not a good trade. Okay. That's how you want to judge it, not whether it's a win or a loss, right? Because most people are like, hey, I FOMO'd in and it worked. That's awesome. Like, no. And believe me, I've been there. I am a revenge trading ninja, and I've talked about that in other videos. And a lot of times I have saved accounts, but in the long run, that's building the worst habits. Okay. So here we go. The need for structure in a rule-free environment. All right. I did a study, and I'm going to share this study really quick. I studied like how major, for real big, large financial institutions run their trading floors. And a lot of them have like a floor manager who's watching everybody, and then they might even have like teams within that, underneath of them, and then they have leads over those teams, and then they have like maybe a guy who's a technical analyst, and then they have a guy who's an actual trader, and then they have a guy who helps with like exiting and executions and all kinds of stuff, right? So that they break all these things down that are needed into different positions. And a lot of times, like the floor manager or the team lead is going to be like, hey man, hey bro, I can see you're emotional. I can see it. Why don't you take a break? Why don't you go home, take a day or two off, depending on how bad it was, whatever, and just chill out. Right? Come back when you can clear your mind. Okay, well, when you are the only person on the team, you are the team lead, you are the floor manager, you're the analysis, you're the TNA guy, you're the execution guy, you're the trade management guy, you're everything, the P&L guy, the risk guy. I mean, you're all of it. You have to do all of that. Okay, and that's why sometimes I think this is hard. I mean, these smart institutions just don't buy it, just don't hire traders and be like, okay, just go do what you want. Yeah, I got 100 traders sitting in a closet. They each have their own little closet. They're all detached from themselves, and I just let them trade because, you know, I have 100 good traders. No, they monitor their traders. They give their traders rules. They say you can operate like this and you can do this. If you want to do something outside of that, you have to bring it to the team. Okay, we have to create the same thing. But he's right. He's so right in this book because we're attracted to this because of the freedom. And then you get here and you start operating in that freedom and you just realize that like it just becomes absolute chaos. And then the only way to tame that chaos is by what? Creating rules and structure. Okay? All right. So most people are used to external rules. School, job, society, trading has none. You are free. And that's why I'm saying I don't really have like a greed problem or a pride problem like outside of this. But when I come to the trading floor, I see it 100%. It's there. All right. To thrive, traders must build their own structure. Clear entries, exit rules, risk management parameters, emotional boundaries. Um, I have emotional boundaries. If my hands sweat, I'm done. I don't even care. If I don't close a trade, I like put everything in place and I walk away. Once my hands are sweating, I'm done. Okay, that's one of my triggers. Okay, if I didn't sleep well and I'm running on like 4 hours or less, I won't trade. I'll just skip it. I'll be like I'm not in my A game. I'll immediately come to the table minimal B or C game, and that's not good. That does not give me the results I need. Okay. So you have to have the emotional boundaries. Okay. This self created structure is what separates professionals from amateurs. 100%. I've told you guys, I'm connected to traders that have super high end 6 and 7 figure outcomes. And as I talk to them, that is a true statement. They do not operate in absolute freedom. They don't just read the market and go, oh, yeah, we're going to this high next. Enter, exit. Yeah. Oh, whoa, whoa. You see that? Now we're going down. Enter, exit. I'm just printing money, but that's not what they do. I promise you, that's not what they do. Okay. They have self created all of these things and all of these rules, and they operate within it and they make money. Okay. And some of them make a lot of money. Okay. I make money and I'm working to make a lot of money, but they've already surpassed that. Okay, so that's why I listen to them. Market reality versus personal illusions. The market is neutral. It doesn't care about you, your opinions, or your needs. Okay, I've had people be like, "Oh, I got hunted," and I'm like, "Aren't you trading prop firms?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, you didn't get hunted, dude. Like, your stuff's not actually on the market. It's fake. Okay. Until you get to a quote live, and even some of those live accounts aren't actually live. Okay. Prop firms are a casino. It's fake. Okay. They just kind of tie it to the market and it moves and whatever. They make profit on people losing. Okay. And yeah, I do pick on some prop firms. I use Top Step. I love Top Step. Apex is a good one. There's a couple other ones that are great. But I do recognize that I'm stepping into a casino. Okay. They make money when I lose. I cost them money. Okay. I know right now that Top Step has paid me more than I have paid them. Okay. And knowing that, I know that I am not their favorite customer. They treat me great. I've talked to them a few times about stuff. Um, like when oh, like what happened? I think I was trying to fix a credit card or something, and like I was changing cards, or I don't remember. I had talked to them on the port. They're super nice. They great customer support. But what I mean is that I'm not their ideal customer because I take money. Okay, and I understand that. All right. So many traders project personal hopes and fears onto the market, causing poor decision making. Okay, if you're dreaming about what you're going to do with the money you're going to make off a trade and you haven't even finished that trade or got a payout, You need to pull yourself out of dreamland. Okay. And I say that like out of love, because that's me. Like I'm a dreamer. Okay. And I'm a planner. I'm a predictor. I love that stuff, but you can't do that when you're trading. Okay. To succeed, traders must accept the market for what it is, a field of probabilities and not certainties. Okay. I'm not going to be able to go in and work an 8-hour day and then know that I'm going to get exactly this much. Okay. Some days I'll lose, some days I'll win. Okay. All right. Practical lessons from this chapter. Freedom requires responsibility. This one is hard. Okay. You are your own boss. You answer to no one. Okay. So you're going to answer to you. You're going to answer to your emotions. You're going to answer to your belief system. You're going to answer to the thoughts that go through your head. That's what you're going to answer to, because there's no one around you to tell you otherwise. Okay. Treat trading like a business, not a hobby or a casino. Okay. It's a big difference. All right. Create and follow strict rules for entries, exits, and risk. If you need something, reach out to me. I'll give you a system. You can go test it. It'll work in the long run. You'll lose money here and there. You'll go on lost streaks, but over the long run, you'll make money. Okay. It's not hard. And you're going to be like, really, this is it? Be like, yeah, that's it. All right. Avoid the get rich quick trap. Okay. Focus on consistency and process rather than chasing big wins. Huge game changer there. Okay. Ask, am I trading my plan or am I chasing a dream? Okay. Because we all want to make it big. We all want to make it big. We all want to take a trade and then have Powell step up. And, we took a long, so he just comes up with a big smile. He's like, I'm dropping rates at a rate you've never seen before. And you get this giant green God candle and you have no TPs on the market. Just like, and you're like, yeah, I just got to pay out, baby. It was, yeah, whatever, right? Like we all have those dreams. Okay. Are you chasing a dream or are you trading a plan? Okay. You need to treat this like a business. Okay. You do set goals that you're dreaming about. Okay. So you're like, okay, I want to be a 6-figure trader by the end of this year. How do I get there? It's not about looking at every single trade as a step to that 6 figures and trying to make money on every single trade. That's not going to work. It's going to be, let me find a plan. Let me work on my psychology. Let me practice my execution. Let me keep my emotions in check and understand my emotions so I know how to interrupt my emotions so I can make logical decisions while being emotional. That's how I'm going to get to that 6 figures, right? Separate self-worth from money. Okay. A losing trade doesn't mean you're a failure. That's huge. Okay. Like I said, I've had bruised egos over this kind of stuff. Okay. Money is not a measure of your ability to money is just a measurement of your ability to execute the plan. Okay. You create a trade plan. You execute that trade plan. And then money is a byproduct. Okay, that's what that statement is saying. All right. Your ability to execute the plan is like everything. All right. If you don't have the ability to execute a plan, it's probably your belief in that plan. And then you're just going to dump that strategy, go on to the next, right? Because, be real with yourself. How many trades do you do before you throw out a plan, right? When you find a strategy, you're like, yeah, this one's good. How many trades do you do to see if that plan works? Okay. And do you separate the data? I always recommend 2 journals, one that has everything, the strategy and the trades you take and you shouldn't, and your revenge trading and your FOMO and everything. And then you have a second journal that is strictly your strategy, because then you can put those side by side and it's like, oh, dude, if I could just remove my FOMO and my revenge and all that, this strategy is actually profitable. Okay. Then you know what you need to work on. It's not strategy, it's you. Okay. That's the only way you're going to know. So build your own structure. Without rules, emotions take over. If you have no rules, you're going to make decisions emotionally. Okay. Design daily routines, including preparation, journaling, and review. All right. If you want to become the top 5% that actually make money, you're going to need to do what 95% don't, which is journaling, talking about your emotions, doing reviews. And when I say doing trade reviews, not like sit down and go, how could this trade? This was a loser. How could I make it a winner? Okay. I get that DM a lot, and I'm like, please don't do that to yourself. Okay. Did you follow your strategy? Yes, you did. Good job, gold star. I don't care if it's a win or loss, right? Over time, you can look at the strategy. Maybe you need to make some tweaks. Maybe it does close a little too low, not quite enough R&R. That's when you can start tweaking the strategy. But until you can prove to yourself if you can run a strategy or not, you need to differentiate, is it the strategy losing or is it you? Okay, I hope that makes sense because it's huge. All right, reflection questions. Ask yourself these things. Do I approach a trading as a business with a plan, execution plan, entry plan, exit plan, stop loss trailing plan, not, oh, I can't handle losing. I need to close my trade so I don't take an L. No. I mean like proper stop loss management, proper take profit. Or do I treat it like gambling? Let me look. All right, I see the market. I see that big candle. I think it's going to go long. What is that? Okay, and I make fun of that, but that's what I've done. I've literally approached the market and gone, huh, we look bullish. Take a long. What am I doing? That's gambling. Okay. Powell's about to speak. I should take a long because I think he's going to lower rates. That's gambling. Okay. Or maybe that's a part of your plan, but there needs to be much more in a plan than that. What specific rules or boundaries do I have for my trading? Hands sweat, I walk away. Simple as that. If I sleep less than 4 or 5 hours, I don't trade. I don't care what day it is. I don't care if it's the most awesome day in the world for trading. I won't do it anymore. How do I react emotionally when I win and lose? Sometimes people win and they feel so good about it. They can't wait to enter the next trade because they want to feel that again. They want to get that dopamine hit again. So they start to overtrade. Or they lose and they can't handle it. Their ego's bruised. So what do? Revenge trade. I need to win. I can't be wrong. Okay. You guys are like, wow, how does he know this stuff? Because I've lived it and I still do sometimes. Sometimes I have to shake myself out of a FOMO trade or revenge trade. Am I overtrading because of the lure of unlimited opportunities? Do I feel like I can just print money and call the market wherever it goes and take shorts and longs the whole way? The reverse button's there for just such people. I should never use it. Anyway, I just couldn't imagine having a strategy. It's like, yeah, reverse. Yeah, reverse again. Yeah, oh man. Anyway, just even the thought of that, like, it's just gonna put you into a overtrading mindset. Okay. Action steps and exercises. All right, so let's go through this rule creation exercise. Write down your trading rules. What time of day, your entries, your exit, your risk per trade, your daily loss limits, all of that kind of stuff. Right. Commit to following them for at least 20 trades without deviation. I almost put 50, but I didn't want to make, I don't know. Some people 50 trades is like 2 months. Some people 50 trades is like 3 weeks. It just depends on what you're trading, right? But at least do it for, like 20 trades so that way you can see what that current strategy does and can you follow it? I think that's more important than anything. So money detachment exercises. Take 5 minutes before your trade. Remind yourself that each trade is just one of many probabilities, not a reflection of your value. Just because you take an L today and someone else next to you takes a W with their strategy does not mean theirs is better than yours. It does not mean that they are more valuable than you. It does not mean that they know more than you, right? There's days that I've had these fantastic traders took L's and I took a big W and vice versa. Okay. You need to judge the actual strategy and not you. And that takes time, investment, and discipline and all this structure and everything. All right. Use affirmations like, I am not my trades. My job is to execute my plan. All right. In the end, If you're a losing trader and you are strictly executing your strategy, then you can blame your strategy. Then maybe you should look for a new one. But until you've ruled yourself out, this is really the number one plan. Just go trade orb or something, like a simple orb strategy, right? Anyway, if you need a trading strategy, just reach out to me. I'll give you one that'll work. Okay, trade journal prompt. After each trade, whether you followed your rules, just not whether you made money. So after each trade, it needs to start with, did I follow my strategy? Yes, I did. Awesome. I don't even care if it's a P&L at that point, right? We'll get to that. You get to that data in the long run. All right. Score yourself on rule adherence. Okay. Don't score yourself on P&L. All right. Everybody can potentially go on a lucky streak, but if you are gambling, everybody potentially will go on an absolute losing streak, and usually the emotions are much crazier on the losing. So therefore, if you've made anything, you give it all back. And I've been there. Okay. So chapter 2, takeaway quote. Trading is the only endeavor where complete freedom comes with complete responsibility, and most traders fail to accept this responsibility. So Jocko, Extreme Ownership. It's a great book. Navy SEAL guy talks about owning your decisions. To me, that's a big part of this. Okay. Take ownership over all decisions made in the market. Okay. And own it. And sometimes that's going to be hard because it's going to bruise your ego. All right. Take responsibility, take extreme ownership over it. And, you don't have to beat yourself to death over it. Just have a logical conversation and reflection time for yourself, and then plan logic into the next time, right? Into the next time you enter this FOMO, or you're going on tilt and things like that, right? Seriously, the interruption of your emotional trading is huge, because you can interrupt yourself, and then you can replace it with a logical statement. Say, am I being the trader I want to be? No, I'm not. What do I need to do? Oh, I need to stop, or I need to put my stop loss here, or I need to go ahead and take profit. I don't want to be greedy. My plan says to do this, right? I need to trail my stop here. I need to do this. I need to not take this trade because this is a big giant green candle which destroyed the R&R for my potential setup for the day. And if I get in, I'm not going to have the proper R&R. I'm going to have too much risk. I'm going to let this trade go. That's a hard one. That's a hard one because everything except for your entry model showed up. And now you've got a green candle that pushed you out of your R&R. And you're like, but I'm almost certain where it's going. You got to be willing to be like, you know what? That's fine. I'll just take the next one. This didn't have my proper entry. Whatever. I'm going to let it go. It'll go without me. That's okay. That's a tough one. But that kind of stuff is awesome. All right. Anyways, I hope this video has been helpful. This kind of stuff is so helpful to me making these videos. It's awesome. Share this with somebody, do the whole subscribe, drop a like, and comment down below. That'd be great. Maybe we can get one like on the video. All right. I don't really care about that stuff. But yeah, hopefully your trading is going to go well, and hopefully this has been super helpful, and I will see you in the next video.